Hi, my name is Monica Egger, and today I am going to be talking about citizen science for urban environmental education. I am currently a researcher at the Technical University of Berlin, and I'm excited to present today at this conference. So involving residents in scientific research is really key for co-creating environmental knowledge. And citizen science is a great tool that researchers can use to engage non-professionals in an authentic scientific research project. And this is where we combine ecological research with environmental education and also natural history observation. So there are great projects that involve citizen science where residents are observing for bees that they see in their backyards or in a nature reserve. Or also there's great projects that focus on bees and other insects that are charismatic, such as butterflies. And so this is a great tool to strengthen the scientific capacity of researchers to get more field sites or to collect more data. And this is also a great way to bridge the public science divide. So people then are able to learn more about the ecology or the environment of their homes. And this is really important in cities, and these are human-dominated habitats or environments. And citizen science can be really useful in urban environmental research because you can maybe research at hard to access habitats or that are private, so like backyards or front yards. And like I said, these are human dominated systems. So it's great to have the people that are dominating these landscapes involved in the research process. And you can also collect long-term data from a research perspective. And you can engage people in really current issues such as climate change or biodiversity conservation in urban areas. And this is also really important for connecting people to urban nature. So often people think that cities are devoid of nature or devoid of biodiversity, but cities can be incredibly biodiverse. And so it's great to have people involved in research using citizen science to connect people to nature around them. And this is also a great way to promote awareness of environmental issues across social groups. So cities are very heterogeneous in their sociodemographics and in the ethnocultural backgrounds of people that inhabit cities. And so using citizen science, and especially an inclusive citizen science, can be a great way to really broaden environmental education and awareness of environmental issues across social divides. So now I'll discuss how I've used urban gardens as a really great study system to do citizen science research. So gardens are what we can consider social ecological spaces. So they are designed and managed by people, and often the ecology of these spaces is characterized by people's wants or values for an urban habitat. So some gardens are designed with food production in mind, while others are designed for ornamentals or for their aesthetic and beautiful qualities. So these are also spaces in cities where there's very high human nature contact because people are managing the flowers or the vegetables or the plants or the within their gardens. And these can be really good spaces for education and empowerment. So as gardeners learn and experiment with the plants or the soils in their garden beds, many people are learning about the natural world and ecology around them. So I've done 2 projects using citizen science in urban gardens. So the first one is how I've used urban gardeners as citizen scientists to learn about water use in urban gardens in California. And this was a great project to do because we had several summers of extreme drought. And so gardeners were encouraged to save water by their garden organizations and also by the cities. And so we established the Citizen Science Project, where we had gardeners record their water management just to get a simple sense of how much water gardeners were using. And so this was really useful for us as researchers because we could look at how much water was going into the garden system and correlate that with the vegetation in the gardens and the soil qualities and properties of the gardens. But we could also use this as a really great outreach tool. So as gardener scientists, gardeners were really became aware of resource and specifically water conservation in their gardens. So many people were surprised by how much water that they were using and made the commitment to reduce their water use in the future. Another project that I'm now working on in Berlin, Germany, is using citizen science to document and measure pollination in urban gardens on vegetable crops. So wild pollinators are a particular concern worldwide, and the city of Berlin, Germany has a pollinator protection plan. And so it's really important not just for us to know more about wild pollinators such as small bees or bumblebees, all these different kinds of bees and butterflies and flies that are in cities. But it's also really important to get people involved in the research process because city habitats are highly managed by residents and by people. So it's great to establish citizen science projects around, for example, pollinator conservation. So here we had gardeners measure pollination on their plants. They took photos of bees that they saw in their gardens on their plants. And in the meantime, we as researchers documented, again, the vegetation or the plant characteristics of the garden habitats. And we also documented the species abundance and diversity of bees within the gardens. And so here we could look at how the diversity of bees correlates to pollination, which is an important ecosystem service in cities. And so again, this was a great project to open awareness to the ecological processes that are linked to very threatened biodiversity in gardens and in cities. Here, pollinators and pollination. So in some citizen science, I think can promote lateral learning or horizontal learning in both research and practice. And so it can connect urban residents to environmental research and education. It can foster nature connection, so between people, plants, and bugs, or to water, when we think about also promoting sustainable resource management. And it can be an important tool in environmental education in cities, where many people are disconnected from the natural world because they see nature outside of cities. But citizen science can be a tool to focus people's attention to the biodiversity around them so that everyone in cities can be a conservation steward. So with that, I would like to thank you all so much for listening to this presentation and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.